Good morning, everybody. My name is Arthur Migawa. My master's and bachelor's are in mathematics, computer engineering. My doctorate's is in artificial intelligence and its implications into post-secondary education. So I'm very excited about what I do here. I've been teaching since 1988 at the college level and enjoy it because it's the aha moment. Everybody in this class along the course of the semester will eventually get to a point where it'll all make sense. And that's the aha moment. And then everything we talked about, everything you're doing, you have a better idea how to do math. This class is a combo course, which means it's made up of two parts. A DMAT 0315, which covers the introductory parts of the topics. And then we'll cover the college algebra part. Ideally, it's supposed to be up there, but that's why I had you all turn on your computers so you can see what's going on. And again, I call them to help fix it, so they should be here sometime today. And because of that, the structure of this course will be just as that. The introductory part of each of the chapters. There's the first section. Now, all of chapter 1 is introductory, so that's all going to be under DMAT. The first part of each chapter will be under DMAT. And then everything else after that will be under the math part, the more advanced stuff. So when you look at your homeworks, you'll see, okay, when I say do the DMAT part, it's all the same material. It's just that when you look at online, well, you'll see the assignments, or the beginning parts of the chapters will be in the DMAT, and the other parts will be in the math. That clear enough? So yeah, so it's all there. It's just split up in two parts. Now, because of that, which I never understood how they were going to do, and I objected it for decades. They have DMAT from 8 to 9:20, and then from 9:30 to 10:50, they have algebra. It's like I'm supposed to teach you the intro and then to go to the advanced part right after that, thinking that 10 minutes, you'll learn everything. No. So what we're going to do here is this. The first part of the class will be the lecture part. And the second part will be, if you want to stay behind and do your work on the second part, you can do that. Or if not, you can go do it by yourself. Do your homework. Because the next day I'll pick up from where I left off and start lecturing again. So the first part will be the lecture. The second part will be homework assignments if you want to stay behind and do that. If not, then at 9:30, you could go to your next class or go home or whatever. Because yeah, I don't think it should be, unless you guys want to go continue for 2 classes back to back and finish halfway through the semester, which is also an option. Because we can take both class sessions and just double up all the work and then finish up everything as much faster, because we'll be doubling up the work. If you're not familiar, has everybody seen the bright space before? Know how to get around it? Okay. So when you go in there, because everything you need is in here already. You have the chapter of the textbooks. You have the math lab. This is where all your homework assignments and tests are. Let's look at the syllabus and calendar real quick. When you look at the syllabus, I gave you all a picture of me, so you're welcome. I'll sign at the end of the semester. But you can see here, the Remind app, you click this, and I sent you last night the link for the Remind app on the specific code for this course. Because each course has their own unique code. Since this is a combo course, you have your own. So anyways, anybody who has questions will simply go to that one. My 2 algebra courses will have theirs, my 2 calculus courses, my 2 education courses, all of them have their own unique Remind place. Where's my Zoom link here? It should be here somewhere. The Zoom link should be up here, but it's not. I deleted it. I should fix it. The course is set up as it is in two parts. So the grades will be here. This is how the grades will be determined. You have chapter exams. You have to do them all. And you can't say, okay, I finished. I made hundreds in the first 5 of them. I'm just going to click nothing on the next one and get a 0 for it. If you do that, if I see you make real good grades and make a really bad grade on purpose on the last one, I will count that one. I'll drop one of the other ones. I simply said I'll drop one. I'll drop one of them. Usually I drop the lowest. But if people don't play by the rules, because remember, the final exam's over everything. You're going to be tested over it whether you like it or not eventually. So might as well learn it now while we're going through it. So the grades will be the 5 exam grades, the average of all your homework assignments. When you look at the homework assignments, you'll see 2 parts. You'll see media and you'll see the homework assignment. I dropped the media grades because those are little videos that the textbook comes with. At that, if you want to watch those, you can watch those. But I delete those before I do the grading. The only part I grade for the homework average will be the part that says homework, or the assignment ones. Because I had students complain, said, "No, I made hundreds in all the medias." I said, "Yeah, but those aren't work. That's just watching a video." So I'll delete those. The final exam is cumulative, meaning it's over the entire semester. Everything we discuss, everything we talk about will be on that final exam. And it's 200 points. So it can drop you 2 letter grades if you do really bad on it. We have a remind and syllabus exams. The remind and syllabus exams are, we'll talk about this, but they're pretty quick, sweet and easy. Some of y'all have done it already. What it is you have, for the remind exam, you have to register for the Remind app for the right course. For the syllabus exam, you have to look over the syllabus yourself, and if you have any questions, state them. If not, you said, I read over the syllabus, I understand it, no questions. And that's both of those exams. You send me a remind message, and you'll get hundreds for both of them. So you start off the semester with 2 easy hundreds. I need you to do that because on September 9th is the census date. That's where, if you don't do any work by then, I send a message to the school saying the students never attended, and they drop you from the course. So again, try to keep up to the stuff, and that way, once I see you did that stuff, you're in the course and you don't have to worry about it. So you'll see you have that for DMAT, and you have the same thing for the algebra. The algebra part down here. The algebra has 6 exams. I keep the top 5. You have the homework assignments, you have the final exam, and then you have the 2 other tests. Pretty straightforward how you keep your grades. Now, along the way, if you want to know what your average is for the course, average up all the homeworks. Let's say we're at chapter 3, section 2. Add up all your homework assignments up to there, divide it by how many assignments there are. That's your homework grade. If you have any blank spaces in your homework, put a 0 in there. That's what I do. Bright space or my lab math doesn't account that. It only counts averages the assignments that you tried. In other words, if you only tried one and made 100 on it, your average is 100 according to them. So that's why I got to go in there and I download it in a spreadsheet, put zeros in there, and then I average it all in. So you add your 200s for your syllabus remind test, your average of your homework, and add up how many test grades we have, divide by how many grades, and that's your average. Another part that's going to help you here is if you look at the syllabus, you will also have practice exams. They're not, no, notice it doesn't say anywhere in the final grades that practice exams are there, because those are bonus points. You take a practice exam, 10% of whatever grade you make will be bonus points added to your test grade. So if you made an 80 on a practice exam, how many points do you get bonus? 8. Simply just move the decimal over 1 point, and that's 10%. So it's going to be the very similar type, but it's a practice exam. You should get rewarded for it. So you can go from a B to an A just by because you took the practice exam. I've had so many students who came so close to making an A in the course, but they didn't take any practice exams. They were like 88.7, but they took no practice exams. And you think I was kind enough to give them those 1.3 later? No. Because if you were at a 1.3 points, you should have done the extra work. I mean, even if you have an 89.6, I won't round it up. It is what it is. It's an 89. It's below 90. It's a B. So again, if you're worried about your grade, show it. Take the practice exams. Do everything you can to get the best grades. And don't bother asking me for extra bonus point work later on in the semester. I don't do that. This is the only thing I do for you. So, because I get swamped towards the last 2 weeks of school every semester by students who haven't been keeping up with the work, who didn't do anything. What can I do to pass the course? Oh, do the work. Take the tests. I'm glad you asked. How is the work going to be done? I lecture. My job is simply to convey the information into a way that you better understand, to make it simple as possible. And because of that, you do your homework outside of class, right? You do it at home or wherever you want to. Because you do that outside of class, I will let you also do the exams outside of class. I don't like liars, cheats, and thieves. And yes, you student wants to cheat, they can cheat. And they can pass the course with an A. And then they get down later on the next course or something else where you need algebra and they can't do it. That's not a reflection of me. Because I did my job. If you cheat to pass this course, you gotta live with it. So because of that, to alleviate the stress of the pressure of taking one test for your grade, I will do as homework. Like homework, you have an infinite attempts to make the best score. And so you did the homework assignment, made a 70. You take it again, you make a 90. Or make the third time, make an 80. I'll keep the best of the attempts that you make. The same with the exams. I will give you 3 tries on each exam. I'll keep the best score. If you want more tries, just send me a message. I'll increase the number. I'd rather you do that, take a test 6 times, 7 times, than have to cheat to try to pass. Again, if you still want to cheat after that, that's on you. That tells you what kind of person you really are. And if that's the case, please, please, please do not have children. I want that to stop when you die. I don't want you to have children. So, the final exam, I'll give you 2 tries at the final exam as well. And again, it's all online. I will give you a cheat sheet, the note sheets for the formulas and stuff. Yes. Upstairs. No, this is it. No, all we're doing is talking about the course. And also what I do, if you notice I wish this thing was working. All my classes, I live stream all my classes. All right, some of y'all may have heard about this. That's why you signed up for my course. Some of y'all just luck of the draw, you lost and you signed up for my course. But in my classes, I live stream everything. Why do I do that? 8 o'clock is a very harsh time. Some people are not morning people. Some people have late night jobs or family issues that come up. That's why in my classes, you can never be absent. You can come to class, sit here, and you'll watch me and we'll talk if you have questions. Or if you want to do this from home, you could log on the same way you're doing right now from your bedroom or your living room or anything, watch it. And if you have questions, just ask it over your phone. It's going to come over the speaker and I'll answer. It's like if we had a sheet right here between us, you'd hear what I'm saying and I can hear what you're saying. And then I will write down everything on this piece of paper. What you're going to see when I lecture, you're going to see this sheet here, the step by step and everything. So my entire lecture is going to be there. Third situation, let's say you can't do it. You have to go to work or something happens and you can't make it to class or you can't watch it online. I live stream everything, seminars, I record everything. I will send that. Actually, you have access to all the video lectures I had in the past. Math doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the way I present the material. So I will send you a sheet that has all the lectures, the videos, the lecture notes that I write during those lectures, as well as the solution videos and notes for those sections as we go through. Because a lot of students always complain, I was there when I was a student, the examples that are given in the chapter and the homework assignments are never the same type. So because of that, what I do is I will work out all the homework assignments and then post them. So if you could try it and you still can't do it, well, check it out, see how I solved it. It's like each video, each solution is a mini lecture in itself. So now, when you're in class, if you choose to be in class, one thing that annoys me when students are on their cell phones during lectures, because that shows zero respect for me. Why even be in class? If you're gonna be on your phone, get out. You don't need this. You don't need me, obviously, if you're gonna be on your cell phones. So during lectures, if you're gonna be in my room, I don't want to see cell phones out. If you're expecting a phone call or something like that, go outside and take it. But other than that, inside here, when class starts and I start talking, you'll give me your respect. Because think about it. If you were doing a presentation on something you thought was important and everybody was on their cell phones or talking or anything like that, how would you feel? Right. Learn to have respect for those who deserve it. And that's why if you don't want, if this is too easy for you, stay home and do it. You can finish this course in next week if you want, this weekend if you want, because everything's out there already. If you remember this stuff from high school, you can do all the work right now. You don't have to go at my pace. We have 6 chapters to cover in 16 weeks. Typically, I finish around the 12th or 13th week and give us the rest of the time to you guys to catch up your work. Deadlines. There's only one deadline in my class. That's 11:59 p.m., the last day of the semester. As long as I have all your grades by then, you're okay. As soon as it reaches that, the computer shuts off and you have no access to it. And, okay, and also at that point, even if you have a system outage and you're doing your final exam at those last minutes, even though we finished the course weeks before, too bad, so sad. Do not procrastinate, because you don't know what's going to happen later on. I strongly suggest you working forward. I'm not going to hover over you and say, okay, well, you haven't done section 1 homework yet. We're moving on. We're in chapter 3. You haven't taken chapter 1 test yet. We're moving on. But I'm telling you right now that after 11:59 p.m., the last day of the semester, December 12th, my heart bleeds for you. But that's as far as it goes. If you didn't finish something, if it cut you off mid-test, so be it. I can't stress that enough. Time management in college is muy importante. Get your stuff done when it's supposed to be done. Wait while you get it done. And if you don't like that way, if you like a more structured deadline, which was I think ridiculous. Let's say you have trouble, something life happens. You can't control it. I have chapter one, section one homework assignment due this Friday, and something happens, you get in a car accident. Well, I'd worry more about the insurance and everything than this. But other instructors say, okay, well, you missed your homework assignment deadline. You can do it, but I'll give you 50% off. What's the point? Why penalize you for what you had no control over? So with that, you know what to do. You know when it has to get done, do it. I'm not gonna stay over your head. Of course, yeah, I have to give you 2 progress reports during the semester. All I'm gonna tell you whether you're satisfactory or unsatisfactory. That's it. If you're satisfactory, you're where you're supposed to be. If you're unsatisfactory, you're not where you're supposed to be. You're falling behind. And the further you fall behind at the beginning, the more difficult it's going to be at the end. The most difficult chapter in this course is chapter 4. And then we start dealing with logarithms in chapter 5, and then system of equations in chapter 6. So as it progressively gets more difficult. And if you fall behind on easy stuff, you'll have a very tough time in the advanced stuff. When do students do most of their homework? Yeah, besides let's say that we had an ideal set of students that didn't wait till the last minute. When in the week do y'all do your homework usually? You guys are ideal students. Friday, Saturday, or Sunday during the weekend, right? I've read so many syllabi from instructors saying that, well, after 5 o'clock on Friday, I will not respond to emails until Monday morning. If you get stuck on Saturday morning doing homework, you can't do anything else. You're dead for the weekend. But that's not fair. Which is why it's very important that you guys register and use only the Remind app if you have questions. How many of you are familiar with the Remind app? The Remind app goes to your cell phone. And how far is our cell phone away from us at any time during the day or night? Within arms, if not closer. If not, I mean, somebody should have a shower with it. It's part of your body nowadays. And that's why. So if you get stuck, I will try to respond to it because I get a ding anytime people send me a message, and I would try to respond to it within the hour. That way, or if I'm not doing anything, if I'm not previously preoccupied, I'll answer it ASAP. Because the faster I can get to it, the faster you can get your work done, the faster we can move on. It's not fair for you guys having to wait till Monday to get your questions answered. Okay, so that's the reason I stress the Remind app. If you send me an email, I'm horrible at that. I check it maybe 2, maybe 3 times a week. Because I get a couple hundred messages a day from school and stuff like that. It's usually just benign stuff like, don't forget, the semester started. You have to get your grades in by the end of the semester. So yeah, duh. So to be successful in this course, again, you have to do the work. I could think you're the best people, and I do. I respect you all for being in college to better yourselves. That's the reason I'm doing it. That's why I'm giving you me 24/7. If you have a nighttime job and you have questions that you usually you do your work at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, that's you. And that's the time you do your homework and you have a question, give me some leadway, and because I wake up usually around 4:30 and you go swimming. So if you want to meet early in the morning, if you have work and stuff, then give me a heads up and I'll answer your meet on Zoom if you want to at that time and go through your homework problems, whatever question you have. So we'll try to answer it first with Remind. If that doesn't work, then what I'll work it out. I'll take a picture of it. If that doesn't work, I'll work it out using this and send you the recording of it. If that doesn't work, then we can meet for Zoom. And I can work it out at the same time. You can ask me questions and everything. So again, you've never had a 24/7 instructor in your life before. It's kind of like a designer instructor. So that's that. I believe in giving you as much respect as I can and help, because I want you all to pass. I want you all to succeed and make A's. And people wonder, why my classes get so many A's? That's the reason. I give you multiple tries on the tests and things. Again, if you cheat, I can't factor that in. But a lot of times I ask other instructors in classes, in physics courses or biology courses or business courses, how's this student doing? Well, tell me, so he's horrible or he or she is horrible in math. Whoever taught them was an idiot. They taught themselves. So again, if you do cheat and somebody asks you, where did you go to school? Who's your teacher? Don't bring my name to it. Tell them I was my own, I taught myself, I cheated. So, with that, so. Yeah, so the class will be that way is if you want to watch it from home, you can do that. If you want to come in class, you're more than welcome. Or if you want to wait for the video to come out, sounds like you can wait for the video to be sold in the lobby. I will send you the videos. I'll send you at the end of each, or actually every afternoon, I'll send you a PDF onto your Remind of that day's lecture and notes. Everything I write down, I'll send you a copy of it. And yes, you'll have it already. You have the whole semester in front of you already. So if you want to work ahead, more power to you. I've had students who do just that. I had one student finish in 2 weeks, the entire course, and took the final exam. And made an A because it was fresh in their head and they just got going with it. Questions while I'm thinking of more stuff to talk about. Yes. No. If you rather not having to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and be here in class, if you rather stay home and watch it on Zoom, you can do that. Or if you rather just wait for the video to be sent out and watch it another day, another time. That's what I'm saying is I have no absences here because I don't take attendance. Because is either you come in class, you can watch it live, participate live, or you can watch a video. Either way, even if you watch the video of it, that's the same as being in here. You're gonna hear the same stuff everybody who was here. So there's no way you can be absent in my classes. So maybe the first couple of days I may send out a piece of paper just to prove that this person was here. But yes.
I don't know if you talked about it whenever I wasn't here because I was in one day. But with the Remind, I do know that you usually need a class code, and I didn't see one online.
Right. And that's half the students who do this don't have to ask for class code, and half of them do.
So how am I supposed to?
There isn't. I don't know how to have it. There is no class code. I don't know where that comes from. I think I may have to go in there and have to approve somebody. So I will do that.
Okay. And the second thing, since you do not take attendance, how are you going to do the certification date when it comes to the FAFSA?
The syllabus even says that. It says to be counted here, you have to do a couple things. You have to do the Remind test, the syllabus test. Once you do that should be enough. But then to show you that you're actually doing stuff online is you have to get the first homework assignment done with 70 or above. But once you give me that shows that the Remind and the syllabus says that kid you're here at least for the first day of school. And then doing the first homework assignment saying that, okay, yeah, they logged on, they did the work, and then they're ready. So those would be my criteria to certify you as being here and being a student in my class. Good question. Very good question. More questions. Yes. I don't know. That's the beautiful thing about college is I have a professor friend who just started this year, who we helped get started with one of the early college high schools in Grand Prairie. I got out of there as fast as I could because they ran it like a high school instead of a college. And he stayed there until this past May. And he came to our first week of meetings and stuff. He said, "Am I doing something wrong already?" He said, "Why? They only gave me 5 courses as opposed to 9 courses. So, and they say I only have to teach Monday through Thursday. We'll do our Fridays. We have meetings or anything." No, we do our research, we do whatever grades, whatever we need to. So yeah, college is a new world. And that's where, how many of our first semester freshmen? Oh, so y'all been in college already. First semester freshmen are notorious for not having self-discipline. Because I said, it's, wow, I don't have to come to school all day. I can pick what classes I want. I don't have to come to school on Friday. And then they start saying, well, I can miss classes. There's no real attendance. And then they doing the homework. They put that off until later, and that's why students fail the first semester. And that's why it's always the easiest courses you take your first year, first semester, just so you can break into the system. Yeah, college is a great experience. Say we only meet twice a week, supposedly from 8 o'clock to 10:50. But for those of you who weren't here earlier, the way we're going to do it is from 8 o'clock to 9:20 will be lecture. And then we take a break. And then the second half will be, do y'all want to just continue on lecturing the second half, or do you want to just have it to yourself and just keep on going as one semester, as one morning class only?
So that's actually something the previous math professor did that I found like worked really well for like every student. What he would do, and it's the same thing, so it's like the double block. He would do, the first portion is like the lab, there would be a break, and then a lot of students would do the homework within the class, and so if they had any questions afterwards, they would use the second block to ask those questions.
That's what I said. That's what I said. The second half will be homework if you want to stay and do it. Actually, that's probably what it got for me is when I said, I've always objected on the combo courses, saying that there's no way you could do introductory and advanced in the same day. It makes ridiculous sense. So I said, no. So after I told them when they first started talking about this, I said, no, it's just introduce the stuff and have them do homework, either in class, in groups, or by themselves with just go. So yeah, I've never ever heard of a study group. I never did until I went to law school. Study groups are amazing animals. You can get so much work done. It's really, you get together with 2 or 3 other, or maybe 3 or 4 other people, and get together in small groups and work together. If you get stuck, you ask people in your group, and all of y'all learn at the same time. And I guarantee you, the work goes so much faster when you guys work in groups, small groups. The bigger the group, the more chaotic it becomes. But study groups are fabulous. After class, go out somewhere, either meet at the wing stop down the road and just do the work at Illinois and Duncanville Road. On that corner, there's a wing stop. Just go there, sit down, do your work, have lunch, and work together. And you get so much work done faster that way. Because if you're doing it by yourself, then you have to do the work. If you get stuck, we watch the video or we'll look at the notes or something else. But yeah, it takes a lot more work to do it by yourself. More questions, more questions. Uh-oh.
Not in a bad way. It's just you mentioned a couple of things and I kind of got me curious. So you said, whenever you were talking about the professor or the teacher that you knew from the
Yeah.
Prairie one, you mentioned the idea of doing research on Fridays. And then you just mentioned that you went to law school. So my question is like, what did you do for your degree in?
What I do originally, when I was in college, all I wanted to do is work. My ideal job would be working downtown on like the 50th floor of a big city, writing code for a corporation. But then when I got to my junior year in college, I was making straight A's in all my courses. And the chairman of the math department came by and said, Arthur, you ever consider graduate school? I said, not at all, never. I said, why? He said, well, you're doing fabulous. You have great personality. Would you like to teach for us and go to graduate school? Just teach one class. We'll pay for your graduate school and we'll give you a salary. I never thought about teaching before. No, I wanted to make the 6 digits. And I fell in love with it. And then I went to law school. Was finished that as I realized I don't want to do this. Because in the legal practice, you deal with 2 types of people. Those that are guilty and those that are victims. There's never a happy ending for anybody. And so that's just, I don't want to do that. And besides that, it's not what you think. If you're thinking about going to law school, it's not what you think. It's not what you see on TV. You go to court and you argue these things. No. A lawyer spends so little time in the courtroom that those movies overglorify it. It's mostly, you spend most of your time doing research, reading case law and other cases, seeing how judges ruled. Because people think about law. What is law? Law is what the government sets. That's one. There's a second type of law that's more common. It's called the judge-made law. It's how that judge interprets the federal law, the statute, and then applies it to this case. That is the law now that we live with. And then the third law is natural laws. So, no, it's not as glamorous as you think. And I didn't want to spend forever in the library looking at all these cases and reading. And those are the biggest. Your first year, you take the legal writing course, where all you do is your first one, you do an appellate brief, and then the second one, you do a constitutional brief. And it's just a lot of extra writing and reading, and it has to be a special format. It was just boring to me. And then one of my professors said, okay, well, everybody eventually's got to do what's called pro bono work. Pro bono work is because you're paying back to society, you could be a free attorney, a court-appointed attorney for somebody. Because it's not just a pool of people, it's whoever went to law school, their name's in there. You're now representing this person. You can get the best lawyer in the world, or you get the worst lawyer, or somebody in between. But you don't have a choice in who you get. And I said, so if the person you're representing admitted to raping and killing a child, I got to defend him? I said, no. I'd walk in there and said, Your Honor, he just told me he did it. Hang him. He said, you would be disbarred and you'd go to jail. I said, so be it. I can't do that. And then you have these lawyers who, by twisting the facts, help people navigate through the criminal world and get out scot-free. I couldn't do that. So that's why I'm not doing that. Here, the worst I could do is upset somebody by giving him a bad grade. Again, it's not me giving you a bad grade. I'm just a translator. I take all the grades that you have, average them out, and enter them on the grade sheet. Who gave you those grades? You did. Because you answered those questions. And unfortunately, here's a big unfortunate. You can do the work excellently. You can do all the work pristine. But let's say you're dyslexic. Your answer is supposed to be 43. You put 34 in the computer. It's wrong. It doesn't care how beautiful your graph is and everything. You enter the numbers wrong. It's wrong. And which is why because of that, if it's not the format that it likes, it'll count it wrong. And then that's why I said, okay, do the homework as many times as you need to until you get it right. Do the homework gives you practice before you take the test on how to enter it. And that's why we have the practice tests also. So however it gives you questions, you answer, and then you get practice. So you should never have a problem entering answers in the test. Because you should have all the practice from the homework, from the practice test, you get to the test. Not to spoil a surprise, but think about it. It's computer. So all the assignments, whether it's homework, a quiz, or a test or final exam, they come from the same data pool of questions. The only thing changes are the numbers. Math is what we call an algorithmic language. It is a language. Mathematics is a language. Because if I put this down, how would you read that? 3 plus 4 equals 7. Even though I'm not seeing what you're seeing, the words you just told me conveyed that. And you notice, how did you read that question, the equation? From left to right. How do we read books? From left to right. So it's a language. Mathematics is its own language. I'm going to teach you the syntax of that language. And one word we never use in my little world of mathematics is that word. That word is a definite no-no in my earshot. If you're from Europe or other parts of the world, you use this word. They're both equally as bad. PEMDAS, BEDMAS. What does PEMDAS stand for? And that's the way students memorize it. So what would that equal? If you don't have your computer, go on to somebody next to you, see what they're doing. What's the answer going to be? The answer is going to be 12. Multiplication is the only symbol that doesn't have to be there to be there. In other words, we can put 3 times 2, 3.2. Again, if you don't have a computer in front of you, get next to somebody who does. Or you could do it on your cell phone. Or we can do this. All of these mean the same thing. There's an X, there's a dot, or there's nothing between there. So mathematics is the only operation in multiplication is the only symbol in mathematics that doesn't have to be there to be there. You can go to the email I sent yesterday. Those of you who came in late, you go to the email I sent yesterday to your school email, and you could look at the video link. How about that one? Right? Don't yell it out. Write it down. Work it out and write it down. Don't. The beautiful thing about mathematics, which I love teaching, as opposed to teaching philosophy or history.
In progress.
Don't record it. Oh, yes, it's you. You're watching me record it. Is because in mathematics, it's either right or it's wrong. Is that the same true in history or an English paper? No, there's so much subjective stuff that goes inside it. So what's this answer? What's another one? Anybody have something different? Everybody get one? Okay, if anybody got anything different, it's probably gonna be right. The only rule you should know is the order of operation. Order of operations is this. Special operations first. Multiplication, division second. And then the third is addition, subtraction. Okay, when I say special operations, what am I talking about? What symbols are in mathematics that are special operations? Parentheses, brackets, exponents, square root, nth root. Which one else? There's a factorial. There's an integral. There are over 400 symbols in mathematics. They're all special operations. But PEMDAS only deals with how many? Yeah, so you're missing 428 of them. We know what exponents are. What's the difference between brackets and parentheses? Nothing. Brackets and parentheses is simply the way you separate. You cannot have brackets and parentheses like that. In other words, they offset. Here's the bracket. Inside the bracket, we have parentheses. You cannot do it this way where you have one inside the other. Why? Because the parenthesis here says we have to do whatever's inside the parenthesis there. Once we get that, we do whatever's inside the brackets. We can go even further. We can have squiggly brackets. What's the difference between the square root and the nth root? How many of you ever heard of an nth root? We know square root of 4 is equal to what? 2? Are you asking or telling? It's, yeah, it is 2. Square root of 4 is 2. What's the square root of 9? Why is it 2? Why is it 3? Because this number inside here, this, what is 4 made up of? 2 times 2. Since it happens twice, I could take it outside the radical. I get 2. 9 is made up of 3 times 3. Since there's 2 of those, I can take it outside of the radical. So why is it only 2 of a kind? Because inside here, it's an invisible 2. That's why it's called a square root. Something times something. A times A is A squared. So A squared, the square root of A squared is A. In other words, the square root and the square cancel each other. So that's one of the, we'll talk about this further during this course. So that's square root. If there's nothing inside there, it's an invisible 2. Now, when we say nth root, n can be anything bigger than 2. What is that called? If this it has a 2, it's a square root. What is it if it has 3? It's called a cube root. Cube means it has three sides. Since square root means it only has 2 sides, and if they're the same number, I can take that side. So what does this one tell us? If I had a cubed, what would that equal? Yeah, because this number and this number cancel. So for example, the cube root of 8. What is 8 made up of? 8 is made up of 2 times 4. We can't go further than 2. What is 4 made up of? 2 times 2. So 8 is made up of 2 times 2 times 2. We have 3 of a kind. Since we have 3 of a kind, that's the answer. Make sense? So that's how the radicals, these are called radicals. That's how they work. Another thing that PEMDAS doesn't discuss. What is that symbol? What's that? Well, the answer is going to be 3. Yes. What's that symbol called? I'll give you a clue. We'll play hangman. Oops, there's a whole bunch of them. There. There's A. Give me a letter. B. Oh, absolute value. Very good. Those 2 vertical lines are called the absolute value. All it tells us is the distance of how far is this number inside here from 0. How far is 4 from 0? 4. How far is -3 from 0? 3. For example, if we're in, let's say, Grand Prairie. Here's Grand Prairie. You have Dallas over here and Fort Worth over here. Let's say they're both 12 miles apart. So going to the right, would this one be -12 going to Fort Worth and +12 going to Dallas? Or do we simply say 12 miles? That's exactly right. Because absolute values tells us the distance from that number to 0. But what if we had a negative in front? What would that one equal? What's that? Don't. What do you mean it doesn't matter? So what's the final answer? What's the answer? Yes, because order of operations. Where's a special operation here? Is negative a special operation? No. So we have to do this first. What is the absolute value of 3? And this just stays there. So the answer is -3. How about this one? It's which negative? Nope. How did you get far? Yes, it's -2. Because the absolute value of -2 is 2 with a negative out in front. Because we'll wrap it up here. So do we have anything else to talk about? By the way, in this course, 2 things I'm gonna tell you. In this course, you're gonna learn nothing. You're gonna remember a lot. Because you've seen all this stuff before in high school, in junior high. I'm just not gonna put it all back together in your heads. It's just now it means more to you because you're paying for it. So you'll pay attention. So you're gonna learn nothing, you're gonna remember a bunch. And you know what's gonna ruin your day in this course? One small thing. That little symbol there is gonna ruin your day. Negatives. That negative sign, I've had students work out all the work perfectly, but they gave me a negative as an answer. I asked them why, said it didn't look right. So the answer came out to be positive too. They said it didn't look right, so I put a negative there. Or just like this, you can have a lot of negatives everywhere, and you're gonna lose track of what's happening. It's my job to keep it all straight and what to do, how do we go from there. How are everybody with fractions? Two-thirds plus 4/5. That's a plus. Now you see why I went to math. I couldn't write all those things. You'll see my handwriting is horrible. So what's the rule here by adding and subtracting fractions? You have to have a common denominator. So what is the common denominator here? Why is it 15? Find what number 3 and 5 both fit into. So we know that 15, which is 3 times 5 is 15. So what 3 times what gives me 15? So we have to multiply the top by 5. 2 times 5 is 10. What times 5 is 15? So we'll multiply the top. 4 times 3 is 12. Why do we multiply it to the top as well? Yes, it does. If we don't change the top and the bottom, it's no longer the same number. Why is it the same number? How is 2 times 5 the same thing as 3 times 5? How is that the same thing as 2 over 3? How is 10 over 15 the same thing? Well, there's 2 ways we can do this. The rule of cancellation, whenever you multiply or divide, if the same number appears top and bottom, what can we do with it? Cancel it. So if we cancel out the 5s, what are we left with? 2 over 3. So all we're doing is changing the way it looks, not the number itself. Besides that, what is 5 divided by 5? 1. So anything times 1 is itself. So all we're doing is changing the way it looks. So another way I like to add and subtract fractions. Some of y'all may remember this method. What's that method called? What's that? The butterfly, yes. It's the butterfly method. The butterfly method says this. Multiply diagonally. 5 times 2 is 10. 3 times 4 is 12. And this operation goes here in its head. So we have 10 plus 12. On the bottom is you multiply these two. 3 times 5 is 15. Since we have a common denominator, all we have to do is now is worry about the top. 10 plus 12 is 22 over 15. They're the same answers. I showed some graduate students the butterfly method, and they thought I hung the moon. I said, if I would have learned that, it would be much easier for them. Now, why do I show you this? What's more accurate? .333 or 1/3? Which is more accurate? Why? It is true. Yes, it is. But why?
Like food. So it's like with pizza, you say like the .333. Whenever someone's looking at pizza, it doesn't really make any sense. And then like whenever you do like the one, you have the whole pizza and you do 3 slices. I don't know, that's the way it clicked in my head.
Okay, okay. Because 1/3, if you put it in a calculator, it's going to be .333 forever. If I stop after 3, what happens to all those other 3s? And it's no longer the same. 1/3 is going to give me the true answer. So typically the rule of thumb is this: if the question is given to you in fractions, your answer is going to be in fractions. If the question gives you decimals, your answer is going to be in decimals. A lot of students like to give everything in decimals because that's what the calculator gives you. Oh, yes, another thing. Calculators. Yes, you can use calculators in here, but you won't see me using. I don't like calculators. You can use them if you. Calculators are used to check your answers, to supplement your education, not replace it. So don't just go in there and start typing numbers. If it gives you fractions, give me the answer in fractions, not decimals. Well, what do y'all think? Anything else? Because there's a lot of stuff. I really don't want to start lecturing today, like I did. Sorry. Let's see if there's anything else important to talk about the structure of the course.
Would be easy to live if you want. Then we start today with chapter 1. It would be much easier for us to do the homework afterwards.
Yes, by all means, and that's the reason I want to leave the second half of this course to you all. If you, I had to stay here because I'm assigned to this classroom. If you want to, after our break, if you want to stay longer and do some work, you can do that. Or if you want to work in your study group, you can do that. But I'll be here no matter what. Or if you want to take off and go do your work somewhere, you can do that. So yeah, the first half of the course will be the work. The second half, I'll expect you to do the homework. So do not fall apart because fall behind because you'll see it's like in the summer vacation. If you didn't take summer school, it got so easy not doing anything. It's very, very tempting not to do anything. So the longer you do nothing, the harder it is to do something. So yeah, so I'll try to keep on everybody said, okay, do this homework. And when I start lecturing, what you're gonna see on top of the sheet is you'll see that I'll put DMAT 0315, MAT 1314, and then chapter 1, section 1, and the title of it. And I'll start lecturing. Once we finish that section, I'll start the next page, chapter 1, section 2. And then again, I do that because each set of notes I send to you will be of that section only. So you'll know, you should know on how much homework assignments you should be able to do that afternoon. Which is also advantageous because if you do your homework first, then the beginning of the next class, I can answer questions. I say, are there any questions over the homework? And if you have any questions, then we can answer those before we start lecturing. I reserve the right also, if lecture goes on a little bit longer than the first at 9:30, since we have this room reserved till almost 11 o'clock. If I have to, I'll go into the second class to finish up the lecture. But usually we'll finish well before we need to. But if needed to, we'll go over that. All right. Any questions? Comments, threats, bribes? All right. If I think of anything else, we'll talk about it next class. But that is what this class is all about.